I have a serious question for you to start today's show.
Yeah.
What are the odds? You know, we'll get into that later on the show. Hi, everybody. I'm James. This is
Brock.
And this is
Toys.
This is Toys. We're in a remote location somewhere on the Death Star.
No, this is Rebel Scum Podcast. And we talk Star Wars.
In case you were confused.
And Star Wars affiliated toys.
And yeah, this is my Darth Maul Rebels Smuggler's Bounty exclusive. That is one of 5 exclusive things I own, period. I don't own much exclusives. Before we get this show going, before we get to 41, Brock, that is 11.
Wow.
We're 11 away from a year. 11 weeks from a year. Before we get started, we just wanted to start by saying thank you to everyone that's been subscribing and commenting and being a part of the Rebel Scum podcast with us. It's been phenomenal.
It's really nice to have comments like, you guys are awesome, and I can't wait to listen to this, so thank you very much.
Yeah, and those ones that are hateful, we block them. No, we don't.
Mom.
It's mostly Brock's mom.
Yeah.
My mom doesn't know that I'm on YouTube. Actually, she does. She knows YouTube better than I do. That's the sad part. But today is our 41st episode. Like we said,
Wow.
we are 11 weeks away from a full year.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
We're halfway to Last Jedi coming out.
Ooh.
I don't know what that means.
That's,
We got a packed show today. We're gonna start with Rey. We're gonna talk a lot about Rey today, even though Snoke sells. We're gonna talk a lot about Rey to start. We'll get into Snoke later on. But J.J. Abrams has said that Kylo Ren and Snoke know of Rey. They don't necessarily know Rey. So what if what he means is Ben Solo knows X, and X happens to be known as Rey. Rey is not her real name. Perhaps it is her real name, but Ben knows Rey. Could Ben Solo, not Kylo Ren, know Rey, have known Rey in the past?
I mean, if we assume that whoever her parents are were also either force wielders, Jedi, or just somehow knew Luke Skywalker, then yeah, I think it's pretty easy assumption that he knows her. But in what facet? Like, there is getting to a point where you're like, maybe she has she's young when she gets left on Jakku, but like maybe she has like amnesia and she's completely forgotten, or like it's weird. I don't know. I feel like we've learned a lot about Rey, but we have learned nothing. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like she's not telling anyone anything because she's thrown into this mess, and why would she tell anyone? So I don't know. On that, in my opinion, that's how the story could come about. Obviously, it'll be a little bit more elaborate than that, but your thoughts?
Well, I mentioned on the last one that I think on episode 40, the dark side edition of episode 40 with the Den of Nerds and Andrew Fantasia on that one, that I think that Kylo Ren is going to be the one, not Luke Skywalker, to tell Rey about her lineage. Mm-hmm. Now, this is where everyone's going to turn to hate me. And I don't subscribe to any theories, and I'm open to whatever they throw at me. But and I don't have the pictures, so maybe if I have time in post, I'll throw some pictures up. But have you ever seen the pictures of Jaina Solo on Wikipedia?
I can't say I have. I've seen a lot of pictures of her.
I'm going to have to edit these in because I'm telling you there are pictures on Wikipedia. Like, it's not even like you have to search for these pictures where she is basically wearing everything that Rey wears. And if you remember that Michael Arndt's script from way back in the original casting call was they were looking for twins. They wanted twins. And obviously somewhere along the way the twins changed, that whole idea changed, and they went in a different direction than the twins. But Michael Arndt still gets a writing credit on The Force Awakens, and the Writing Guild rules are you have to write X amount of the screenplay in order for you to get credited as in that. Right. And if you don't get credit, and then you're like essentially like a ghost writer type of thing. And if you do enough of the other way, you can get a story by. He did enough in the screenplay where he gets a screenplay credit in that film. So that means the ideas that he had in his were just expanded on by Kasdan and Abrams. And maybe he wrote the first half and Kasdan and Abrams just wrote the second half and they couldn't figure it. I mean, and they touched up the dialogue here and there. So if that's the case, then who are the twins? It's got to be Kylo or whatever Kylo's name was, and it's got to be Rey.
Right. Oh, yeah, I can follow that.
It's for me, this is a possibility, and it makes sense that Ben Solo would know her. And when you read the books, there is a part where, and I can't remember which book, I believe it's Bloodline. Is it Bloodline? You might know this if it's Bloodline. Where Leia remembers, thinks back to a pregnancy and the birth of twins. And everyone's assuming that that's Amidala, that's Padme with Luke and Leia. But there have been more speculation is coming about that she is imagining herself and she had another child, perhaps. Now to explain that, it could be very convoluted and hard to express, but at the same time, when you look at A New Hope, Obi-Wan just says your father, blah blah blah, Vader, blah blah blah, and all of a sudden we're all like, oh my God, the Clone Wars happened and this happened and that happened, and we've created this world before Lucas made it. We created a world in our heads of what happened.
Yeah. I wasn't not paying attention to you. I was just looking up. It
wouldn't be the first time.
I looked at Jaina Solo and just like, yeah, I can see where you're coming from. Though I also love when she's an X-wing pilot. It's just awesome. Anyways,
you talk.
Okay,
I'm gonna find that picture.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I've noticed in what I've read recently, like a lot of people are like, it's this, or maybe it's people commenting on YouTube actually, or on our videos. It's like, this used to be this and this used to be that. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's a good point. Actually, this raises kind of a big point for me. It's like I'm almost getting to a point where I'm like, am I losing Star Wars knowledge, or am I getting old? Or it's probably both. But like, at points I'm like, I don't remember this. I don't remember the names of this. Well, and like back in the day, I was like, yeah, this.
There's so much.
Are we getting oversaturated? Is that the right word with all this info? I think. But going back to what I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. I'm very tired. I like the idea that they're taking old ideas and just reinventing them. But at the same note, it's like, yeah, we're like, I don't know. Like, do we need to honor any of the expanded universe stuff? I mean, we've done it with Thrawn, but
no, the expanded universe was. Don't hate me on this, but a lot of it was dumb.
Yeah,
a lot of the expanded universe was dumb. Even the good stuff, for the most part, is like you have your Thrawn stories, and I'm going to give Shadows of the Empire shit, and that's good too.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is dumb. But what really made it dumb was that it didn't enhance from the original trilogy. At the time, it was the only trilogy, but it didn't enhance that. It just kind of grew. It kind of just took this story, like a fan fiction type story of Luke.
For sure.
Luke started his own Jedi Academy, but. Why would Luke start his own? Even in Force Awakens, I am under the impression that Luke has not started his own Jedi Academy. Right. I think he's only training Ben because Ben's his nephew, and Leia is afraid that Ben will turn to the dark side, so he's like, go off with Luke. And Han says he was starting a new Jedi Order, but maybe he wasn't. Maybe it was just Luke and Ben because he knew something bad was going to happen to Ben, and this was the only way they could counter that, but it ends up backfiring. Because if you look at the original trilogy and everything we said about the prequel trilogy, how the Jedi aren't perfect.
Yeah.
And Luke is learning that. Why would Luke just go ahead and be like, let's train a whole bunch of other people that are going to fall to the dark side? I haven't learned jack squat.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, he watched his father come back to the light because of him.
I guess the question is like, I think you're right. I mean, we for weeks we've been talking about how like Luke is on a search for this and that and blah 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 artifacts, which would make sense because he's basically the only Jedi by himself, and the people who trained him, Obi-Wan and Yoda, were very aloof in like truth, right? Like they didn't lie to him, but they're like, well, it's not that easy to give you all the information. So then he's on a search to find things. But I think I can agree with you on that. Like, he doesn't necessarily have to start. Like he himself is not fully trained. I mean, that's up for like argument, but you know. He can't, like, yeah, it's like, well, I mean, it's like Kanan and Ezra. It's sort of like Kanan is disillusioned by the Force. And he's like, well, I'm not a Jedi Master. I can't train you. Like,
except the only difference is in Jedi, in between Empire and Jedi, Luke trains, and then he's like, I'm a Jedi. So is he ever a full Jedi? Is he ever a complete Jedi? Pablo Hidalgo.
Yeah, I mean,
by the way, Pablo Hidalgo tweeted that he doesn't want anyone tweeting him any more of their theories. He's like, it's fun to that. He said, keep theorizing and have fun with the theories, but leave me alone.
Yeah, don't send it to me.
Which is so dumb. It's like, hey, Pablo Hidalgo. But by the way, though, he has not answered me on whether or not Snoke is Wicket, which I think is a huge. Warwick Davis is up to something. We know he's in it.
Yeah.
is he Snoke?
That'd be great.
It would not. Well, no, it wouldn't be. So Rey is a Solo confirmed. Everyone, so many people get mad. But look, I don't think she's a Solo. I think, though, if you take Daisy Ridley's words that it's obvious, she thought it was obvious.
Yeah,
and you watch the film, the only obvious answers are Luke or Han, really.
Right.
But the problem with that is that it doesn't give you any other options either.
Yeah.
Unkar Plutt's not her father.
Yeah.
You know, like the two options we have are Luke and Han, and Luke is just because that's who you want it to be when you're watching it. Well, not you, but that you were like, oh, that's Luke's daughter because it has to be Luke's daughter. But Han gives her those looks of recognition and those fatherly advice moments and things like that. So Han makes sense, even though it doesn't make sense.
Listeners at home and viewers on YouTube, tell me why you think Rey should be a Skywalker. Because my problem with it alone, not the fact I don't have a problem with her being a Skywalker. I have the problem with Luke being an absentee father.
What if he's not? What if she's taken from him?
Again, I think I said it in the past. If you can give me a reason that makes sense, but like it just seems the opposite of what a person like Luke, who was abandoned at birth and kind of never fit in anywhere. And I have a theory that something I should bring up on another episode about Luke that I kind of hit me at Celebration. But it's like, it just doesn't seem right. And like, what that makes him look like until we know, he looks like a shitty person if he does that. But anyways.
Yeah, but
we don't know.
But at the same time, when you look at The Force Awakens, and Mark Hamill said this at the Last Jedi panel at Star Wars Celebration, when you look at Luke Skywalker in The Force Awakens, that's not the Luke that should have happened. Like, that's not the Luke that survived the original trilogy. Right. This is a Luke that they created to have this new trilogy happen.
True.
Because Luke would have learned from everything that was brought in front of him. And now he, like you're saying, he hasn't learned. So him actually dropping Rey, his daughter, off actually fits in more with the new Luke that they're giving us.
Right.
In regards of, he hasn't learned anything. Why would he start a new Jedi Academy when he knows that that's not the way to go? You've seen firsthand Anakin turn on his master because and Anakin was in that order. He knows. So I think Rian Johnson is the problems with the Force Awakens. I say that like there's so many errors, but the things that made the Force Awakens like that, like those kind of instances, I think Rian Johnson, and we're going to talk about it a little bit later in the news, I think Rian Johnson is going to step in and correct these things. And I think Rian Johnson, and I'm going to do George Lucas's birthday is May 14th. Happy birthday, Georgie. We're going to do an Unleashed.
Here's a Coke Zero.
Andrew and I are going to do an episode of Unleashed on George Lucas.
Yeah.
But I think Rian Johnson is perfect for this because J.J. Abrams, he got us into it and everything, but J.J. Abrams, I say, is closer to Michael Bay than to like Spielberg. Like he wants to be closer to. Like he's very heavily with substance, with style over substance. Right. Very heavily. But he has better dialogue and humor than Michael Bay.
Yeah.
He's not, But Rian Johnson, on the other hand, George Lucas made American Graffiti. Like he was an independent filmmaker essentially, and then he made this film. Now, who better to get than an independent filmmaker who understands the story? Because Lucas understands the story. He might not be able to put it to film the way you want him to, but he understands it so well. And Rian Johnson, I think, is the right guy to come in and be like, "Hey,
for sure,
we got this."
And just seeing what he did at Celebration, like being super psyched about everything, hanging out with the fans as much as he could, like. That's awesome.
It was almost like they pulled someone from the crowd and were like, "You're gonna just come." But he understands everything about Star Wars, and J.J. Abrams got Star Wars back. The other argument is that you didn't really need to get Star Wars back because it was going to make $700 million easily.
Yeah, exactly.
But it made $2 billion, so you can't argue with that at all. But that's what I think. So Rey's Solo confirmed. But we talk about it though because it. Yeah. Just because we have to talk about it.
I mean, that alone couldn't happen. Well, it can happen, but it's just like you've killed off Han Solo. So now she has to be abandoned twice, in a sense. Mm-hmm. Assuming, beside the point of why she's a Solo, like, forget that part. And now, unfortunately, Carrie Fisher has passed away, so the Leia character goes away. So it's sort of like, I feel like they would rewrite that, in a sense. It would be, again, a cool dichotomy. Rey and Kylo are siblings, and they're inevitably going to be fighting against each other in the next 2 movies. I think that's a fair assumption. I think they are the like 2 of probably many characters that are gonna butt heads. Like, so I don't know. I will accept whatever it is if it makes sense, but like, I don't know.
I think Kathleen Kennedy and Lucasfilm referring to this as the episodic films as the Skywalker saga.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to believe, it's got to be Rey or Kylo. Yeah. But what if Luke is the end of that Skywalker chain? I mean, like, obviously Ben Solo is, but the name Skywalker ends with Luke. It starts with Anakin, ends with Luke, and Anakin, as we've said before, is the centerpiece of the entire saga, where Anakin is the most important part of everything that we see.
Right.
It has to do with him being found as a child with high midichlorian counts. Whether you call it midichlorians or not, I don't care. He was strong in the Force. Whatever. It's the same thing. It doesn't matter. Then he became this powerful Jedi. Then he became this powerful Sith. Then he threw away the darkness to save his son. Didn't go back to the Jedi way. Just saved his son because family is family. Like, that comes first, and he recognizes that
like
at the end.
Fast and the Furious.
It's Fast and Furious. Vin Diesel totally gets this. Vin Diesel. He's Cuban now. Someone explain that to me. But then he has his son and daughter, and his son is the one that actually comes up, and Obi-Wan believes his son is the chosen one. But really, Anakin is the chosen one, and this is still part of his story.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Again, maybe this doesn't make sense, but like, I feel like we need to know if he's still in contact with any of the Jedi in ghost form. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah.
Or at least Obi-Wan, right? Because like, that's a big deal. Like, Return of the Jedi ends, and we assume like that's the end of that thing. It's like, but is he still talking to people? Because it seemed like a very vital importance that Obi-Wan learned how to do that, right? So I mean, maybe he's able to talk to his father, or Hayden Christensen.
Well, remember the rumor, and there's concept for it too, where it was evil Ghost Anakin and light Ghost Anakin,
right?
Which totally goes against Anakin. Like, he's not evil anymore. There's no dark Anakin.
He's redeemed.
He is a Force ghost, not an evil Force ghost. They don't happen to exist. Well, not to my knowledge.
Yeah.
But that's just how it is. So that I'm glad that wasn't. As much as I want to see Hayden Christensen back in these movies, I'm glad that did not happen. Personally.
Yeah.
What about this? A third Skywalker.
Ooh la la.
Or a new Skywalker, I guess. But Yoda says there is another, and everybody since 1983 or whatever has been like, well, is he really talking about Leia? Or no, since 1980 he said that? He said that in 80. So, it wasn't Leia when it was written.
No,
we know that. So, George Lucas has a treatment for episode 7, 8, and 9. He presented them to Kathleen Kennedy and Bob Iger and Disney and Lucasfilm. And he said, this is what I had. Use them if you want. And they said, thanks, George, but no thanks. And they put it aside. Then Michael Arndt came in and started writing. Then J.J. Abrams was hired.
Yeah.
Took Michael Arndt's script and said, this is not where we need it to be. We need blah, 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 blah. Okay, then he had dinner with George Lucas. And I'm guessing phone calls with George Lucas.
Yeah.
Is there a chance that J.J. Abrams said, Kathleen Kennedy, can I just... And he picked up the papers again. He said, oh, look at these notes. Look at these notes. That's where Snoke came from, is those notes. That's where Kylo... He's not Kylo in the script, obviously. Like, that's not his name in Lucas's notes. Is there a chance that he went back and grabbed those notes? And those notes who knows when he wrote those notes, first of all.
Yeah.
They could have been written with the original treatment for the original trilogy.
Right.
And possibly there is a new Skywalker. There's been a lot of casting calls for females.
Right. Which one was all the names coming from? Was that the Han Solo one?
Yeah. No, wait.
Wasn't there something? Well,
yeah,
like
it was
the
Han
Victor
Solo.
name
Yeah.
from
So the toys were for Last Jedi.
That's right.
And it was Victor. By the way, do you think Snoke's actual name is Victor?
Do you want me to tell you the odds?
No. Because I don't think his actual name is Victor.
Which I'm confused about as well, because Qui-Gon is in there as well. So is that series all Force Awakens?
No, it's just
all Last Jedi.
No, it's just the Black Series new one, like how they threw
So they throw a couple different characters.
They threw Django into the Force Awakens.
Yeah,
one.
exactly.
Yeah. Oh, I wish Qui-Gon was. Could you imagine?
That's what I'm saying. Like, if Qui-Gon's being dropped in, it's like maybe he's a new Force ghost. Who knows? Imagine if it turned out like the Jedi Council was there in ghost form. The Ghost Council.
You've said that
What?
before on this show.
Yeah. Probably early on. Like,
Yeah, like one of our first episodes that you can't watch on YouTube.
yeah, sorry.
Sorry, guys. I don't know if I want the Jedi Council to be there in ghost form because only a select few were able to do it. And
Yeah, exactly.
but Qui-Gon would be cool to come back.
Yeah.
I would love. You know what I would love? Side Akbar on this. Something with
Admiral
Mace.
Akbar. Oh, he's not dead.
Something to do with Samuel L. Jackson and Mace Windu.
Yeah.
I don't know how, but Samuel L. Jackson loves this character, and he loves pretending that he's still alive. He's like, I ain't dead. He loves it. And Lucasfilm is allowing him to come out and say that all he wants, right?
Yeah.
I would love him to show up in a film at some point.
Right.
The Obi-Wan film, I don't want it to take place in between Sith and New Hope. I just want it to be this takes place in the middle of Revenge of the Sith. Go have fun. You know, I guess Ewan McGregor's too old.
Yeah, I think that would be a good place for bringing in Lost Jedi.
But I don't think they want to touch. I don't think they want to touch the prequels.
No,
which is so unfortunate.
which doesn't make sense.
I was talking about when I did the Nerdy News Hour a couple weeks ago. I was talking about how the one thing that's really cool about the people that watch it is a lot of them are prequel fans.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people forget that there is a large group of people
Yeah.
that love the prequels. They enjoy the prequels. They don't think of them as the prequels, quote unquote.
They call it 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, it's not a dirty word to them, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't think people forget that, and I think the business side of Star Wars has also forgotten that because, like I said, J.J. Abrams came in and did this, and he just was very much concerned with giving it the feel of the original trilogy. And as great as that was, and as nostalgic as that is, and when you're watching it, you're like, oh.
Yeah.
When it all comes to pass, we were going to go see that movie multiple times regardless.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like...
If anything, you could argue that, like, the prequels could be considered, like, a Star Wars anthology. Like, if you had 3 episodes of Han Solo, what's the difference? You're going back and explaining why this character is the way it is. Yeah. How is that different from the prequels?
Do you think it's funny that the first 2 standalones that Lucasfilm does in the new era are both prequel films?
Yeah, oh yeah.
They're like, we're going to go back and do the prequels. But I love that the prequels are clean too, and I've said it before because it makes sense because the Empire is one that makes the Star Wars universe the universe that we love.
Yeah.
It can't always be the universe we love, and we got to see that decline, which I think is great. But we're straying from the topic of a new Skywalker. Would you be okay if they were like, I was born, Leia was born, but there was someone else. Maybe Anakin had a twin. There is a theory that Snoke is Anakin's evil twin or something like that. I haven't listened to that theory, so I don't want to knock it because it might actually make sense. But what if Anakin wasn't the only one? Or what if there is that other Skywalker out there?
Yeah. I don't know if I could see it as a twin to Anakin. It wouldn't be terrible, but I mean, if you compare Anakin to a Jesus character, it's like he had brothers and sisters. It's just he was the only one immaculately conceived. Right?
And like last week, you and Josh both agreed that you're okay with Rey possibly being a Force baby. And I think
I don't know why all of a sudden I'm okay with that. I'm just like, I guess it just makes sense.
Again, that move was tricky for Luke. Like Lucas was like, yeah, it's a, she has no father. He has no father. It's like what? That kind of takes some guts to go in there and tell that and like make us be okay with that too as viewers. Like, are we okay
why
with
don't
that?
you just call him like a smuggler that went off world? I never saw him again. Like that's.
But there was a reason for it. Could we be finding out the reason for that now? Or I think they're gonna let that go. You know what? I
think we give George Lucas too much. The benefit of the doubt sometimes. I think it was like, this would be kind of cool to try. I'm like,
I'm going to disagree.
Well, I think he has a plan sometimes, but like,
I think Lucas thinks these things out, and I think the flaw of him is actually he thinks them out a little too much at times. Like when you watch the Clone Wars and those Mortis episodes, you're just like, I thought the Force was just in the air. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it's overcomplicated, and they get overcomplicated these things.
Yeah.
But that's because he's got so much going on in that mind of his.
I mean, if you read the Star Wars comic that was based on his original script, I gave you that comic, right, to read. If you ever read it, it was printed by Dark Horse before Disney got their hands on Star Wars. Marvel got their hands on the Star Wars franchise again. That was bonkers. Like, the original script, it was just so many ideas just mashed together. I mean, like, we all heard it, like, like Han is a lizard and blah, 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 blah. Like, R2 talks and has the arms like Chopper. So I don't know why I'm bringing it up, but it's just like, I think George Lucas has a lot of very cool ideas, but you're right. It's sort of like, well, this and then this and then this.
Yeah.
It's like, simplify.
Which, again, is why I think someone like Rian Johnson is perfect, because Lucas was able to really pull off the original trilogy because he had those grand ideas, but he couldn't produce them.
Right.
Because he didn't have the means to. And then when the prequels came out, he had all those grand ideas and he was able to. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, whoa. And then the Clone Wars, as great as it is, there are times, though, when it's like, there's just too much going on here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot happening. It's cool, but there's a lot happening. So I think someone like Rian Johnson could come in, even though he'll have all those tools. I think because of his mindset, I think it's going to be, this is definitely going to be it's going to be a huge film, but it's going to be a smaller scale story-wise. And I really think that the fan base will be divided on this. I do. I think the Star Wars fans are going to love it, but the people that only love The Force Awakens are not going to walk away from The Last Jedi,
right?
Like in The Last Jedi. Whereas I'm hoping that we leave like, that's the best Star Wars film I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Whereas, someone who literally just watched The Force Awakens like, Star Wars is not my favorite thing ever, they're going to watch this and be like, that's not what
Yeah.
Or I'm hoping it's actually somewhere in the middle of both of those. Like, that would be the best for it. But you know what I mean? Like, it's not going to be that safe story, the safe funness of The Force Awakens. It's gonna have giant kahunas. It's gonna have what The Rock says in the rated R Baywatch trailer: balls. By the way, we're on iTunes and we can't swear because I put down there's no swearing. There's no swearing on iTunes. So guys, check us out on iTunes. We're not on Google Play, but we should be. So we'll get that. But iTunes for sure.
But I don't know. What do you think? Is there a new Skywalker?
No.
Cool.
Here's my thing: as much as it could make sense, and we all, who was he talking about? He was talking about Leia, even though he wasn't. That's who he ended up talking about. And if you start throwing in all these characters, you have to stop. You can't retcon. I hate retconning. I hate it.
Oh, you shouldn't read.
I hate it.
You shouldn't read Marvel or DC then.
No, but that's a little different. That's like they're telling a different story, right?
No. Well, yes and no.
Like, this story ends. Okay, let's go back and retell the story.
They've changed a lot of certain things. They don't do it on a yearly basis, but they do restart. So it feels like a mini retcon where it's like, we went this way and now blah, blah, blah. Or the simple things are like, oh, the character looks like this in the movie, so we have to change the costumes. Like, why? Anyways.
Yeah, I don't consider what Lucas did in the prequels retconning at all. I just think he was like, I'll just tell a different time of the story. But now, like, don't go back and don't tell me that this happened or that happened when I know that it happened. When Yoda, and I've said this before, when Yoda dies, he tells Luke he is the last Jedi.
Yeah.
Do not tell me that there was someone else out there at that point in time running around with a lightsaber using the Force. Yeah. Don't do that. That's just cheap. To me, that's cheap. Use your mind and tell me a story that fits into what we've known. That's what I'm saying.
I think I can handle the fact if they were to say there's this person as a Jedi, but not as a Jedi. More of like, it's like the Force doesn't go away. There are people that can wield the Force. I'm okay with that, but I agree. Like, but yeah, like, he's saying it's like, no, there is another chosen one. Or not even. No, that's too far. I'm doing what you said. Don't do. Like, I'm basically right. There's like. It's our last hope. It's like, no, I don't know.
The one retcon I might be okay with if when Yoda says there is another, maybe he meant down the road and it's Rey.
Yeah.
I'm totally okay with that. But I think unless Rey is a Skywalker, I don't want any more Skywalkers.
No.
And especially if you're ending the Skywalker saga at 9, stop it.
Yeah.
I don't need any more. Brock, you have to get your phone out and get that email I sent you. Because it's time for... Never Tell Me the Odds.
Never tell me the odds.
Today's odds are brought to you in part by Ben Quadinaros' Parts Shop. His parts are safe and his pod won't work. But I need you to get the odds because I don't have them in front of me. The odds are fantastic today. Last week's odds were good. It was good doing 2 episodes last week when we had Arda and Josh on those 2 shows. All right, Brock, what is our first odd?
First odd is the odds of Rey becoming a full Jedi by the end of episode 9. I'm going to go 90%. Only because, one, we don't know. Because I know the question is like, could she be evil or could she be good? I think we'll use the word Jedi as a placeholder because we do not know where the Force is going.
That's where I was going with it when I wrote that. I think she will be a Jedi, and I think she will be a Jedi in the way that Luke, Anakin, Mace, and Kit Fisto were all Jedi. Mm-hmm. But a rebirth of the Jedi Order.
Yeah, okay.
And a new version of the Jedi. And because, we've talked about this and I've heard other people on podcasts talk about this, you cannot get rid of the word Jedi. You can't. No. What do you love about Star Wars? Jedi. Sith is something different because it came in later on. But I love Jedi and lightsabers, and I love using the Force. You can't just be like, Jedi don't exist. So it looks like it's time for the Jedi to end. But what if in this journey they find a new way for the Jedi to thrive?
Exactly.
And the proper way. And it's gray, but they're Jedi.
It might be a cop-out, but I think she knows she can wield the Force. She's going to learn how to do something with it. Arguably, by the end of the 9, she will be adept in that, if not a master. So that's what I'll say. I'll say 90% because I think that's the whole point. Because I think we are going on a journey with Rey.
I'm not. I'm going on a journey with Finn.
I think Kylo and Poe and Finn are important, but we are.
Totally. It's Rey's story.
Yeah,
which is why I think now. If the market, I've said it before, the marketing, if not putting Rey in the marketing was because she was a female and didn't think that would sell, that's whatever. That's not cool. But if they were hiding her from us because this is the surprise, quote unquote, twist of this trilogy, that we're actually following her. We wanted you to think we're following Finn, but we're actually following Rey. That's awesome to me. But they never really came out and said that, which makes me think that it was because she was a female and they didn't think she would sell toys.
Right.
Stupid. Next odd.
I think we already said it earlier. What are the odds of Snoke's name actually beginning with Victor or being Victor? I'm going to say 75. Because one, Victor Snoke sounds like a good name.
Okay, wait. I've never actually put them side by side.
Oh, so you're just saying Snoke is his online tag?
No, I'm kind of liking the Victor Snoke.
Victor Snoke. It almost sounds like a Harry Potter character.
Victor Snoke.
Hashtag Victor Snoke. Hit it up. But also, hashtag bring back Teak. Yeah, I hope it is. Because, that is the allegations with that story that Victor... How was it with the toys? It says Snoke, but Victor, or we're assuming Victor, or
it was codenamed Victor, and I think it's Snoke. I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm gonna go 0%, but I kind of really like that it's Victor Snoke.
Victor Snoke.
Here's the reason why I can't see it though, is because these are toys. Mm-hmm. But why would they put Victor on a toy that's coming out September 1st or 4th, and not after the Last Jedi? Yeah. Why would you reveal his name to me 3 months before I see it?
It's like Constable Vesuvius.
But that's different though, because that's a side character. Yeah. Why would you reveal Snoke's name, which they know is such a big deal to us? Why would they reveal that? That's why I'm going to go 0% on that.
Okay, fair enough.
And the final odd.
Final odd is... What are the odds of Lucasfilm bringing back Teak 100%? And if you don't like it, you can get out.
The odds of Lucasfilm bringing back Teak. 102%.
102%. Because we are a pro-Teak administration.
I think you should be
hashtag make Teak great again.
We've sold, I think, 3 or 4 Teak shirts.
American listeners.
It's not a big deal. People don't actually like Teak.
Bring back Teak.
Nobody knows who Teak is.
Make Teak great again.
All right, before we get to the news, we're going to do the segment we like to call Books and Comics, because I want to prolong you reading. Because you can't read. Have you read anything this
No! I had no time.
But I really want to talk about something.
I will have something, but you go first.
You have something today?
I don't have something,
but read it right now.
No, I will do a mention. Reader. I will do a mention.
Brock can read like that.
Yeah, but you go first.
I wanted to talk about a couple things, but I'm gonna push some stuff I had aside for Guardians of the Whills, the young adult novel Guardians of the Whills.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Because a lot of people have been asking on forums, not to me specifically, but I've been asking on forums and tweeting, and they're saying, should I read Guardians of the Whills and Rebel Rising, which I'm going to get into next week. But this week, Guardians of the Whills was the first one I read. Greg Rucka. He wrote it. Great writer, great book. It is very good. It is a quick read. It is a young adult novel, but it reads much like Lost Stars. Lost Stars was also a very quick read. By the way, that Leia, Princess of Alderaan book by Claudia Gray is also a young adult novel.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that'll be coming out on Force Friday.
But you got just a quick add in there. The young adult books are worth reading because that's where we learned about the traitor. First,
yes,
like that's where, and also by Greg Rucka. So it's like,
yeah, he writes a lot of those. But the other thing too is if you read Harry Potter, you shouldn't have a problem reading a young adult novel anyway, right?
Yeah.
That's the take it. But I don't really read a lot of young adult novels because I like to read the encyclopedia and other such things. No, but I got this book and I decided to read it, and it's really good. It has a lot of little cool tie-ins to Rogue One. If you love Baze and Chirrut, you're going to learn a lot more about them. You learn about the Whills. It starts off with a passage from the Whills, which may or may not be a clue into what we are learning still in the episodic films, because you know that the Whills are somehow connected to what we're going to be getting. But I would definitely recommend checking out Guardians of the Whills. I got the ebook. I pre-ordered it, so it came into my device at like midnight or 1 a.m. or something like that. And I read it. It only took me a day to read. Well, it's not huge. Like I said, very easy read, but it's an enjoyable read, and that's what's really important about it. Read it. So if you want to learn more about those crazy cats, get Guardians of the Whills by...
Is it on Kobo?
It is on ebook. Kobo, Kindle, and... Barnes and Noble.
And my little thing I'm going to mention today, I didn't have time to go to the comic book store, but a new miniseries came out today called Star Wars: The Screaming Citadel. Which is
was that the crossover?
Crossover with Dr. Aphra and the Star Wars, and I didn't know about it till this week. Like I didn't know. I knew it was coming, but I didn't know what it was called.
I might have to go.
And I'm like in. I don't know. Like I know. Well, I do know the synopsis. Luke reluctantly teams up with Dr. Aphra in search of something. We know Dr. Aphra is Indiana Jones, so we're looking at artifacts of some sort. This could be very interesting.
I'm totally going to pick that one up, but I don't. Next week, or 2 weeks from now, I'm going to talk about Darth Maul issue number 3. But that I'm actually excited for. And
the cover for that looks awesome.
Number 3? Yeah, it's very good. But the news is coming up.
The news.
And before you take it, Dr. Aphra was voted by the fans to be the next Black Series figure.
Oh, did we have? Oh, yeah, that's right.
It's not in our story, so.
Yay! Welcome to Hollow News. Here are the news of the day. Here I am.
Brought to you. Coming from Coruscant.
Okay, first story. Toys came out revealing things. Specifically, we got to see Kylo Ren's new starship. It is.
I'm going to buy that.
For YouTube fans, for people listening, it is a modified, souped up X-Wing. It looks like an X-Wing, but it's really a TIE fighter. So it's got those long, narrow thingamajigs. I don't know if it's a name. It's just a new TIE fighter.
I believe if you go to Star Wars Newsnet or your favorite Making Star Wars, I believe there's actually a really cool painting of it, like a sketch drawing, and it's painted in. It looks really good. This is the toy. We wanted to show you what the actual toy looks like.
Is this a die cast?
It looks like, I don't think it's a die cast, but it looks like it's one of those Hot Wheels packs that you can get.
Right.
Which we have. If you watch the Vote of No Confidence from the last few, there's a bunch of those here.
It's sleek looking. Again, it's still maintaining the TIE fighter look. It's very exciting. I don't like the visual of this picture though. Like, couldn't they have given us both? Because yes, the TIE fighter and the Star Destroyer are very cool as well. But is there another picture? Like, it's just, why not show the one we want to see? So that came out. That looks very, very cool. And apparently it's gonna be in Snoke's Star Destroyer. So
much for Kylo Ren's shuttle that I bought 3 of.
Yeah, why did they get rid of that? Well, I guess this is more fun. This you can shoot around. And
I bought 3 of them. They got my money. They're moving on.
Oh, they get it.
Yeah. What's next?
The next is R2 wasn't supposed to go to Ahch-To with Rey and Chewbacca. It was supposed to be BB-8. which is not overly surprising because BB-8 is the hot new robot.
But it's surprising that it makes no sense.
But yeah, this made a little bit more sense. And apparently, originally, it was like I just said, BB-8 was supposed to be there, but Rian Johnson actually used his position to say to JJ, "I'm okay with everything you're doing here, but can you put R2 on the Millennium Falcon when they go to find Luke?" So that's pretty cool. I mean, I think it'll be. I think we've said it before. R2 and Luke meeting up would be very emotional, very neat. Because I think there's a very important conversation had between R2 and Luke. Because as much as we think, oh, he shut down because Luke disappeared, and he's sad. Maybe not the case. He's, as we learned at the end of the movie, he is hiding the extra piece, hide something in plain sight. So that's kind of cool. Maybe there's an actual, as we see in flashbacks, R2 is with Luke when some real stuff goes down between him and the Knights of Ren. So yeah, I'm okay with it. Cool. I mean, that's pretty much the story,
I think this is why part of the reason why I think Rian Johnson is the right guy for the job, because he understands story. All right, next.
Boom. Sony and EA have announced that there will. I don't know if it's a full announcement, but basically, it's assumed we will be getting VR with the new Battlefront 2, specifically an X-wing mission of some sort. So that's very exciting. I do not have Sony VR. So.
Neither do I, but I definitely want it. But I will not be getting it anytime soon for reasons I will not talk about.
I mean, it's a genius move. I mean, these games are awesome, and VR is, especially VR in a flying game, would be perfect.
If the first Battlefront had a small VR section, if they made a full VR Star Wars game, how would you not go out of your way to get a virtual reality headset for your PlayStation or whatever?
Coming out November 17th, we're all excited here at Rebel Scum Podcast to play this game.
Woo!
And any interview you read with anyone from EA, right? EA is making this. Yeah. They're like, this game's awesome. This game's awesome. This game's awesome.
And they're very excited. I was at that panel, and they're all very, very excited for this film. They learned from the other one. The Battlefront 1 had a great foundation. The foundation of Battlefront was great.
Oh, yeah.
People just wanted this and that, and they did not have the time to do all that.
Yeah.
But they had the foundation, so now they can just grow on it.
Exactly. And in our final news story, there was a cool art festival, specifically Star Wars theme, in Houston recently, headed by a local artist named Dandy Warhol. He just put on a show, and it was all artists doing some kind of version of Star Wars in any way they want. I saw there's a picture of Yoda wearing sunglasses. There's this one here that's sort of like Mexican Day of the Dead Darth Vader, or I don't think that's exactly Day of the Dead, but it's kind of that style. That's always fun. I've noticed recently, as our generation, the millennials. That's right, we're millennials, James.
How dare you?
We are now adults, so it's like what we like is in vogue. I don't know. Do you follow Gallery 1988 from LA? They do a lot of stuff like this where it's like pop culture themed exhibits. Right now they're doing Stephen King. So just different artists are doing paintings or sculptures that have to do with some kind of Stephen King thing. Once they did comedians. I think they just recently did like Saved by the Bell or something like that. It's really cool. So like there's a relevance to this fan culture. So that would have been awesome to go to for sure.
Yeah, if I lived in that area, and I knew about it, I would get my butt down there.
Yeah,
unless it was really expensive, then I probably wouldn't go.
Who knows?
We went to last week was May the 4th, and we went to a May the 4th party. In the Toronto, Ontario, Canada area.
Yeah, we went down to Queen West.
We did.
We went to the Drake.
It was fun. We got to hang out with a Rancor trainer.
Yeah, that was cool. And there was a Mara Jade. There was a Obi-Wan. There was no stormtroopers. Right?
No stormtroopers, but there was Lando.
Lando, that's right. But we went to the Drake. Drake's a great place. If you're ever in Toronto, go to the Drake. It's a hipster bar, but it's great.
They didn't sponsor us.
All right, they did not. I just like it.
Now moving on to our final topic for the day. Our final segment is the Top
five.
And today's top 5 are brought to you by Kenner.
James,
What?
can I stop you for a second? Don't you usually put a number instead of the word top 5?
I don't know if you noticed, but the graphics have changed entirely.
Oh la la, we have been streamlined.
Yeah, normally I do, but you know what? It looked really funny when it was just a little small number
Nice.
5, so I wrote 5 so we look classier.
You might not know that James does all of our graphics because he has a lot more time.
I used to have more time. Now I have a lot more time. We also got these shirts from TeePublic. Check out our
Yay.
TeePublic store. Brox is designed by.
This is awesome.
I've got Sabine Wren doing a podcast.
I like that one too.
She actually does her own podcast. It's called Sabine Talk with Sabine Wren.
It's called Mandalorian Mania. I don't know, whatever.
Today's top
Top
5
5.
are top 5 characters we would like to see as Black Series figures.
Ooh, this is a good one.
Where's Andrew Fantasia? He should be on the phone for this one. Brock, I'll go first if you don't
Okay.
mind. I'm going to go with General Grievous.
Oh.
General Grievous. I have his Elite Series figure, which is phenomenal. I would love to see him as a Black Series. Why is he not a Black Series? Brock.
I don't know. Have they done Ewoks yet?
I don't know. I don't really have that many Black Series. I have
Okay, I won't.
I have Sabine.
But number 5 for me would be a character from the comic series, like the expanded comic series, be it 000, the assassin protocol droid, or what's the droid? Because they have them in statues, and those really nice statues that are like more expensive. But like, you know, from Dr. Aphra, the droids from that, or like maybe Chris Shitaten. I don't know how to pronounce it. The Wookiee assassin as well. They're all assassins. Or maybe like Agent Terex from Poe Dameron. Like they're really cool characters, and like let's just like put them in normal whatever.
Number 4 for you?
Number 4 is, if Ewoks have not been done, Wicked E Warwick or Wicked W Warwick. Yeah, that'd be awesome. It'd be like this. It'd be like the Yoda Black Series, where it's like this massive box and it's only taking up this.
I am writing Hasbro right now. Hold on.
Yeah.
Oh, you can see my hands now because that black bar is gone.
I'll double down and say make it a special edition where it's 3 Ewoks. So like Wicked, Chief Chirpa, and Logray, or wherever.
My number 4 is the epically wonderful Ben Quadinaros.
Again, 3-pack with pod racers. Sebulba, Ben.
Oh my god, I would totally be down for that.
And maybe a pit droid or
Oh yeah, no, pit droid would be epic. That'd actually be perfect because
yeah.
But yeah, Ben Quadinaros for sure. I know he would. The thing with these figures is there's the prequels, and I don't like them. They would sell. People would be like, I gotta get myself a Ben Quadinaros.
Just make the figures. Like
I know.
Just make the figures.
You know what? I love the Elite Series. Everyone knows I love the Elite Series.
Yeah.
I didn't get the May 4th one for reasons that I won't go into. But apparently on May 25th, the 40th anniversary, they're releasing Han and Luke as Stormtrooper attire in the Stormtrooper,
sweet.
which is cool. But at the same time, I like make something new. Number 3 for me is Watto.
yeah. It's got a little stand so he floats in the
Yeah,
air.
and his hat is an accessory also. So you put his little hat on.
I'm gonna keep with the prequel theory or the prequel theme here. Jar Jar Binks.
Oh, wait, did they already do one?
I don't think so.
I'm adding. Okay, Jar Jar is my special man. I don't have Jar Jar on my list because I thought they did a Jar Jar, but you might be right.
Scumbags at home, let us know if we're wrong.
Because I want to. This is top 6 now. Jar Jar is
Top
also
6.
my number. 3.
Yeah. You're number 3?
That mine was.
Sorry, Watto.
Number 2.
My number 2, Victor Snoke.
But that's coming though.
I know, but like, just put him out. Put him out like a week before.
You wanted like Sergeant Jyn where it says Victor Snoke on it.
Victor Snoke, and then
Victor Snoke.
turns out he's like
His name is
a
actually.
turtle in reality.
My number 2 is Two Tubes.
Huh? Yeah.
I want Tommy Two Tubes,
Two
Adrio
Two
Two Tubes, because he is. I want to learn more about him. I want to see more of him. I want him more in the films, and I want his Black Series figure. And my number 1, because it's not Jar Jar, because I thought Jar Jar happened. It would be Jar Jar, but my number 1 is kind of in line of what you said, but it is a Warwick Davis pack centered with Wicket. And then you have Wichi Chichu from Thing, and then the guy that he played in the Phantom Menace that looks like the kid from the Road Warrior. I want a 3-pack of those. That's who I want. Hasbro, I'm calling you out. Do it. Brock, number 1.
When I was thinking about this earlier, I was this is not my number 1, but I was like, I forgot to mention this. Is like, I wanted a Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru, but they're just charred skeletons.
Have you seen those pictures of them?
Yeah. Or like an empty box that's called the Force. I feel like though my choices are really not in any order, I would like them all to happen anyways. So I'm gonna say something not overly exciting, but like maybe like
Han Solo,
but like in Hoth gear. But I think they already did one where he's on the Tauntaun, so I guess that doesn't really count. So I will go Han Solo in Endor gear. Boom.
Are you sure they haven't done that?
I don't know.
Because there's a million Han Solo figures out there.
I'm not going to say that I know everyone. Look at that. That's cool. It's a Boba Fett logo, Mandalorian.
It's Star Wars Legion special edition.
Very cool.
Don't look at the price tag on it.
Yeah, so it's not overly exciting, but like, I don't know. Put them out. Maybe they're cool.
We do the top 5s. It doesn't always have to be exciting, but the more exciting it is, the more people like it, Brock. Yeah. That is 41 weeks. Unbelievable. It's been a lot of fun. So Rey Solo is 100% happening.
Finn Calrissian and Poe Dameron - the Hutt.
Don't you hate when somebody comes out and they're like, oh, Finn is Lando's son? And you're like, that's the dumbest thing ever. But then somebody posts it on a site, and then a friend of yours is like, oh my God, did you hear the news? And you're like, you're an idiot. Stop believing that. You should know better than this. People fall for everything. I'm going to post something later today.
Yeah.
Where I'm going to say Yoda is actually a human in disguise.
He was a puppet the whole time.
He was a puppet the whole time. Puppet or CG Leia? CG Yoda. Brock. What do you prefer?
Which
depends on the film.
Which puppet?
Yeah, it depends on the film that it's in. I read an interview today from 2011 or 12, or read it yesterday, with George Lucas being interviewed, and they asked him about the CG Yoda, and he said the plan for the Phantom Menace was to always have CG Yoda, but what happened was they ran out of time, and they couldn't produce the CG Yoda realistically by the time the film was due, so they just threw in the puppet, and that probably explains why the puppet looks so bad.
That makes sense, because like Yoda isn't really in the Phantom Menace a ton in comparison to the other two movies, but maybe I'll say something controversial. If we were to never see the Yoda puppet again, which we probably will, I am comfortable looking at a CG Yoda for the rest of my life.
Yeah, me too.
The original puppet is great. Nothing against it, but like CG moving, like I don't know. It's still good.
But I want to see a puppet bend quad and arrows at some point moving forward. That's our show for today. Thank you so much for watching. Brock, what's your Twitter and Instagram and all that schnaz?
At BF Smink on Instagram and Twitter. And Cool Guy 69 on Plenty of Fish.
You can follow me at Betsafina on everything, where you can beat my butt at Battlefront on PS4. But lately, I'm playing Disney Afternoon Adventures from 1989. I'm not even joking. Yo, you can fly the plane in Tailspin.
Yeah.
Oh, stop. And that's our show. Brock, may the force of others be with you.
Always.
Hey, scumbags. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.